Imagine loving someone so deeply that losing them feels like losing your own identity. And now imagine your greatest love becoming the reason behind your destruction. This is not fiction. This is the tragic, intense, and haunting story of Sylvia Plath and the man she couldn't live without, Dad Hughes. Sylvia Plath was not just a poet, she was a storm of emotions, brilliance, and pain. Her life, her love, and her death are still debated even today. But what makes her story unforgettable is this her relationship with Dad, often called one of the most intense and tragic literary relationships in history. This is a story of love, obsession, creativity, betrayal, and a devastating end. It all began in 1956 at a party in Cambridge. Sylvia had already read Ted Hughes' poetry and she was fascinated by him. When they finally met, it was not a normal love story. It was explosive, fast, and almost dangerous. In her journal, Sylvia described him as powerful, magnetic, someone she was drawn to instantly. Within months, they got married. Their relationship was not calm, it was creative chaos. They wrote together, traveled, explored ideas, and pushed each other artistically. For a while, it felt like they were made for each other. Their marriage was not just romantic, it was deeply intellectual. They inspired each other's writing. They even experimented with unusual creative practices like using trance like states and occult methods to unlock imagination. They believed creativity was not just thinking, it was something almost mystical. And during this time, Sylvia produced some of her most powerful work, but behind the creativity, something darker was growing. After a few years, reality started to settle in. Motherhood, responsibilities, and isolation began to affect Sylvia deeply. She struggled emotionally and mentally. Her depression worsened. She felt insecure, jealous, exhausted. Meanwhile, Ted was gaining attention, both from critics and from other women. And then everything changed. Ted had an affair with another woman. This was not just betrayal, it shattered Sylvia. Their marriage collapsed soon after they separated in 1962. Sylvia was left alone in London with two young children in one of the coldest winters in years. Now imagine this, you are alone, heartbroken, struggling mentally, and raising two children with almost no support. That was Sylvia's reality. She poured everything into her writing. In just a few months, she created Ariel, one of the most powerful poetry collections ever written, raw, intense, and filled with pain. But at the same time, her loneliness became unbearable. In 1963, at just 30 years old, Sylvia Plath took her own life. After her death, the story did not end. In fact, it became even more complicated. Ted controlled and edited much of Sylvia's work after she died. Some accused him of shaping her legacy, others blamed him for her death. He remained silent for decades. Until 1998, just before his own death, he published birthday letters, finally expressing his side of the story. But even today, the truth feels incomplete. Sylvia Plath's story is not just about tragedy, it's about the pressure of being brilliant, the loneliness behind creativity, and how love can sometimes destroy you. She once wrote, I desire things that will destroy me in the end, and somehow that line became her reality. Was Sylvia Plath a victim of love or of her own mind or both? That's a question the world is still trying to answer. But one thing is certain her words survived even when she could not. If stories like this fascinate you, real, dark, and deeply human, make sure you subscribe because some stories are not just told, they stay with you.